I'm coming to get you.
When Rambo: First Blood Part 2 hit theaters in 1985, it didn't just dominate the box office, it redefined the action genre. But behind the explosions and survival grit lie secrets that reveal a very different story about how this film was made. Fact 1. Before becoming a household name with The Terminator and Aliens, James Cameron was hired to write the initial screenplay for Rambo: First Blood Part 2. Cameron's draft focused more on high-tech military gadgets and a team of specialists working with Rambo. It was a very different tone. More ensemble, less one-man army. Sylvester Stallone came on board and heavily rewrote the script. He stripped out the team and gadgets, putting all the focus on Rambo's lone mission. Stallone also shifted the political tone to focus on POWs in Vietnam. Cameron has said he didn't mind the changes, calling Stallone's version more in line with the character's voice. Some of Cameron's original action set pieces remained, like the helicopter battles, but most of the quieter, suspenseful scenes were removed in favor of non-stop action. The collaboration is fascinating because it's two of the 80s biggest action voices merging into one film. Cameron's version might have been more spy thriller than war epic. Stallone's version went full adrenaline. Both had the same goal: make Rambo a global icon. The result was one of the most financially successful films of the decade. It's rare for two writers with such strong visions to mesh, but here it worked, and it helped cement First Blood Part 2 as the ultimate 80s action showcase. Fact 2. Sylvester Stallone insisted on performing the majority of his own stunts in First Blood Part 2. He believed it was essential for the audience to see Rambo as real, not a double. This meant jumping from helicopters, wading through swamps, and handling live explosions. One of the most dangerous sequences was when Rambo leaps from a cliff into the water. The impact left Stallone with bruised ribs and intense back pain. During filming in Thailand, Stallone also dealt with unpredictable terrain and wildlife. He trained for months to prepare for the physical demands of the shoot. Every stunt was choreographed for safety, but the risk was always present. Explosions often went off closer than planned, adding genuine urgency to his movements. His commitment impressed the stunt crew, many of whom said he pushed himself harder than most professional stunt performers. The authenticity shows in every frame of the film. It's one of the reasons the action still feels intense today. Stallone has said the shoot was the most physically exhausting of my career. He even lost weight during production due to the grueling schedule. His dedication helped solidify Rambo as one of the most believable action heroes ever. And it proved that in the 80s, stars were willing to bleed for their roles. Fact 3.
Rambo!
While parts of the film were done on sound stages, most of First Blood Part 2 was shot in Thailand. The lush, tropical landscapes doubled for the jungles of Vietnam. Filming in the Thai climate was brutally hot and humid. Cast and crew often battled dehydration and insect bites. Tropical storms sometimes halted production for entire days. The remote locations meant hauling heavy equipment through dense vegetation. Cinematographer Jack Cardiff worked tirelessly to capture the dangerous beauty of the setting. The authenticity of the environment added to the film's gritty realism. It also made stunts and action sequences more unpredictable. Wild animals occasionally wandered onto the set, including snakes and wild boars. Local villagers were hired as extras for the POW camp scenes. Their participation gave the film a layer of cultural authenticity. The crew adapted to using local resources when gear was delayed or damaged. Despite the hardships, the natural scenery became one of the movie's visual strengths. You can almost feel the heat and humidity through the screen. It's a reminder that sometimes the toughest shoots produce the most immersive worlds. Thailand gave Rambo his perfect battlefield. Fact 4.
Do we get the win this time?
This time it's up to you.
When First Blood Part 2 premiered in May 1985, it quickly became a massive hit. It earned over $150 million in the United States alone. Worldwide, the total exceeded $300 million. That made it one of the top-grossing films of the year. It even outperformed Rocky IV, Another Stallone blockbuster released that same year. The movie tapped into Cold War patriotism and action movie fever. Audiences loved the mix of revenge, rescue, and spectacle. It was especially popular with international audiences in Europe and Asia. Merchandise sales also exploded, from posters to action figures. The success cemented Rambo as a cultural icon of the 1980s. It proved Stallone could dominate the box office in multiple franchises. Critics were divided, but audiences didn't care. The film's financial success led to inevitable sequels. It also inspired countless imitators in the action genre. Even today, it ranks among the most profitable action films of its era. The box office numbers showed that audiences were hungry for bigger, louder, and more explosive adventures. Fact 5. The production secured real military helicopters for the film's major action scenes. These were Russian-made models captured during past conflicts and repurposed for filming. Their intimidating design gave the film an authentic edge. Flying them in the Thai jungle was dangerous work. Experienced pilots performed low-altitude maneuvers for dramatic effect. One helicopter flew so close to the treetops that branches scraped its underside. The rotor wash created intense wind effects for the actors on the ground. During the climactic battle, live pyrotechnics exploded near the aircraft. This required perfect timing between pilots and stunt coordinators. The helicopters became a visual signature of the film. They symbolized overwhelming enemy power that Rambo had to overcome. Their presence added real danger to the set, even with strict safety measures. Every aerial shot was a logistical challenge. Yet the results made the action sequences unforgettable. Viewers could feel the weight and speed of real machines in motion. It's one of the reasons the movie's action scenes remain timeless. Practical effects in real aircraft gave First Blood Part 2 its raw energy. Fact 6.
People are so vulgar in their methods. They lack compassion.
Rambo's knife in First Blood Part 2 wasn't a store-bought prop. It was custom designed by master knife maker Jimmy Lyle. Lyle had also created the knife for the First Blood film. The sequel's knife was larger and had a more aggressive design. It featured a saw-back edge for survival purposes. The handle concealed a mini survival kit. This included matches, fishing line, and a compass. The knife became an extension of Rambo's character. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a survival tool. Collectors today still seek replicas of the iconic blade. The craftsmanship made it functional as well as cinematic. It was used in both combat and survival scenes. Stallone kept one of the hero knives after filming Wrapped. The blade's close-ups were often done with special lighting to highlight its details. The knife became almost as famous as Rambo himself. Its design influenced countless other action movie weapons. It's proof that sometimes props can become legends in their own right. Fact 7. The prisoner of war camp seen in the movie wasn't an existing location. The production team built it entirely from scratch in Thailand. It was constructed using bamboo, wood, and local materials. The design was based on real Vietnam War POW camps. Every detail was carefully researched for authenticity. Even the guard towers were fully functional. Local workers and carpenters built the structures. The camp was large enough to accommodate dozens of extras. It became the centerpiece for several major action sequences. The weather often damaged parts of the set, requiring constant repairs. During filming, the camp looked so real that some locals thought it was an actual military installation. The set's destruction during the climax was done with real explosives. They only had one chance to get those shots right. Multiple cameras captured the explosions from different angles. When the scene was complete, nothing of the camp remained standing. It was a spectacular and costly sequence, but worth every frame. The POW camp became one of the most memorable settings in the entire Rambo franchise. Fact 8.
What the hell do you think you're talking to, Troutman?
A stinking bureaucrat that's trying to cover his ass.
No, not just mine, Troutman. We're talking about a nation's.
Upon release, First Blood Part 2 quickly became a talking point in political circles. Its portrayal of Vietnam POWs struck a nerve in America. Some saw it as a patriotic fantasy of rescuing forgotten soldiers. Others criticized it as oversimplifying a complex historical issue. The film was even mentioned in debates about U.S. foreign policy. President Ronald Reagan famously referenced Rambo in a speech. He joked that he wanted to send Rambo on certain missions. This blurred the line between Hollywood fiction and political rhetoric. Veterans groups had mixed reactions to the movie. Some appreciated the attention it brought to POW/MIA issues. Others felt it trivialized real suffering for entertainment. The controversy only fueled the film's popularity. It became a symbol of 80s action cinema's influence on culture. Regardless of opinion, it sparked conversations that lasted for years. Its political impact was as explosive as its action scenes, and it proved that movies could shape public perception in unexpected ways. Fact 9. In the era before CGI, every explosion in First Blood Part 2 was done practically. Special effects teams used real pyrotechnics and controlled demolitions. The jungle environment made these stunts extremely risky. Every blast had to be carefully calculated to avoid injury. Trees and debris became dangerous projectiles during big detonations. Actors often performed within feet of real fireballs. The heat from the explosions was intense and immediate. Stallone himself was caught in close proximity more than once. Cameras were protected with blast shields to capture the action. The sound recorded on set was so loud it had to be replaced in post-production. Practical effects gave the film its visceral punch. Audiences could feel the danger because it was real. Many modern filmmakers cite these sequences as inspiration. The explosions became part of the Rambo brand. They weren't just visual, they were physical events. It's a reminder that sometimes the old-school way delivers the most impact. And in Rambo's world, nothing was ever done halfway. Fact 10. Despite being an all-out action film, First Blood Part 2 earned an Oscar nomination. It was recognized in the category of Best Sound Effects Editing. The nomination surprised many critics who dismissed the movie's story, but the sound design was undeniably impressive. Gunfire, explosions, and helicopter noises were layered with precision. The jungle ambience was recorded on location for authenticity. Mixing all these elements created a rich, immersive soundscape. The team used innovative techniques for the era. Even the sound of Rambo's bow was crafted from multiple audio sources. While it didn't win the award, the nomination validated the crew's hard work. It showed that technical excellence could shine even in a popcorn blockbuster. The sound contributed heavily to the movie's tension and energy. Many fans don't realize how much the audio work added to the experience. Without it, the action wouldn't have the same punch. The Oscar nod remains a point of pride for the production team, and it proves that even explosive action can earn respect in Hollywood. Fact 11. They trained him in jungle survival tactics and stealth movement. He learned how to set traps and move silently through dense terrain. Weapons handling was a major part of the preparation. He practiced with rifles, bows, and explosives under expert supervision. The training also included endurance drills in extreme heat. Stallone wanted his movements to be authentic, not choreographed. His instructors pushed him to think like a soldier. They drilled him on situational awareness and threat assessment. This allowed him to react naturally during action scenes. He even learned small details like how to carry gear without making noise. The goal was to make Rambo's survival skills believable. Some of these techniques were incorporated directly into the film's choreography. The experience gave Stallone a new respect for real combat veterans. He has said the training was both exhausting and eye-opening. It blurred the line between acting and soldiering, and it gave Rambo's jungle warfare an authenticity few action films achieve. Fact 12. One of the most memorable weapons in the movie is Rambo's explosive tipped arrows. These weren't pure Hollywood fantasy. They were loosely based on real experimental military technology. During the Vietnam War, some units tested small explosive projectiles for bows. They were designed for silent but destructive strikes. In the film, the arrows become Rambo's signature weapon. The special effects team used small pyrotechnic charges for the explosions. Each shot had to be perfectly timed for safety. Stallone practiced for hours to draw and release with precision. The bow itself was custom-made for the film. It was powerful enough to fire arrows convincingly on camera. The explosions were exaggerated for cinematic effect, but the concept came from real-world innovation. This mix of fact and fiction made the weapon unforgettable. It's now one of the most iconic images in 80s action cinema, and it showed that even in Hollywood, truth can inspire the best movie moments. Fact 13. While First Blood Part 2 thrived in U.S. theaters, some countries censored it. The level of graphic violence exceeded local rating standards. In the UK, certain scenes were trimmed for theatrical release. Exploding bodies and extended torture shots were shortened. In Australia, the film was given a higher classification than most action films. Some Middle Eastern countries banned it entirely. The POW torture scenes were particularly controversial. Censors worried about the influence on younger viewers. In Germany, TV broadcasts later cut entire sequences. These edits often disrupted the pacing of the story. Fans sought uncut VHS tapes to see the full version. The censorship ironically fueled the movie's cult appeal. Owning the uncut edition became a badge of honor for collectors. It's a reminder that in the 80s, violent action films often pushed boundaries, and First Blood Part 2 pushed harder than most. Its raw, unflinching tone was part of what made it unforgettable. Fact 14. For First Blood Part 2, Stallone earned one of the largest actor paychecks of the decade. His fee was reported at around $12 million. At the time, it was a staggering sum for an action star. This reflected his box office power after the success of Rocky and the first Rambo. The studio believed Stallone was the key to the sequel's success. His salary set a new benchmark for Hollywood action leads. It also made headlines in the entertainment press. Some critics argued no actor was worth that much, but the film's massive profits proved otherwise. Stallone also received a percentage of merchandise sales. This deal made the movie even more lucrative for him. His earnings from the film helped finance future projects. It showed how far action stars had risen in Hollywood's pay scale. By the late 80s, salaries like Stallone's became more common for big names, but in 1985, it was still groundbreaking. It cemented his status as one of the industry's most bankable stars. Fact 15. It was more than a costume choice, it became a symbol of toughness. Merchandise sales for red bandanas skyrocketed. Fitness enthusiasts, athletes, and even musicians started wearing them. The look was imitated in parodies and commercials. Kids tied red cloth around their heads to play Rambo in the backyard. The headband became as iconic as Rambo's knife. Costume designers said the color red was chosen for visual contrast in the jungle. It helped Rambo stand out in wide shots. The sweat-soaked fabric also added to his rugged image. By the late 80s, the headband had entered pop culture permanently. It became shorthand for unstoppable determination. Even people who hadn't seen the movie recognized the look. Today, it's still part of Rambo's lasting legacy. And it all started as a practical choice on set. Sometimes the smallest costume decisions have the biggest cultural impact. Fact 16. In one tense jungle sequence, Rambo encounters a snake. That snake wasn't animatronic, it was real. Animal wranglers handled the reptile on set. Stallone insisted on interacting with it for authenticity. The scene required him to grab the snake and move it aside. Safety crews monitored the moment closely. The species used was non-venomous, but still potentially dangerous. Stallone rehearsed the movement several times without the animal. When the cameras rolled, the shot went smoothly. The snake added an extra layer of realism to the scene. It also reinforced Rambo's survivalist persona. Some audience members assumed the shot was faked. In reality, it was one of many moments where the crew embraced practical effects. Working with live animals was just another challenge in a demanding shoot. It's a small detail, but it shows the film's commitment to authenticity. Even in a movie filled with explosions, nature still played a starring role. Fact 17. Jerry Goldsmith returned to compose the score for First Blood, Part 2. His music blended military rhythms with sweeping orchestral themes. The soundtrack was released alongside the film. It climbed the charts for film scores in several countries. Goldsmith used recurring motifs from the first movie. He also introduced faster, more aggressive themes for the action sequences. The music heightened the tension in every scene. Fans praised its balance of heroism and danger. Tracks from the score have been reused in trailers and documentaries. The main theme became closely associated with the Rambo character. Collectors still seek out original vinyl pressings of the album. Goldsmith considered it one of his favorite action scores. His work on the film earned critical acclaim. It helped elevate the movie beyond pure spectacle. The soundtrack remains a standout in 80s action cinema. It's proof that music can be as important as visuals in defining a film. Fact 18. Despite its box office success, First Blood Part 2 didn't escape criticism. The film won several Golden Raspberry Awards for worst achievements in film. These included Worst Picture and Worst Actor for Stallone. The Razzies often targeted blockbuster action films in the 80s. Stallone took the criticism in stride. He joked about it in interviews, saying audiences were the real judges. Fans clearly disagreed with the Razzies' verdict. The movie's popularity only grew after the awards. Some critics have since re-evaluated the film more favorably. They acknowledge its craftsmanship and cultural impact. The Razzies remain a quirky footnote in its history. It's a reminder that critical reception doesn't always match audience love. The film's legacy easily outlasted the bad press. It still plays to packed houses at retro screenings. In the end, the laughs at the Razzies didn't stop Rambo's march into pop culture. Sometimes box office gold shines brighter than any trophy. Fact 19. Following the film's release, military recruiters noticed a surge in interest. Young men inspired by Rambo's heroics inquired about special forces. Recruitment offices reported higher attendance at information sessions. The U.S. Army didn't officially endorse the movie, but some recruiters admitted it helped their image. The film portrayed soldiers as resourceful, fearless, and unstoppable. It tapped into the era's fascination with elite warriors. Posters of Rambo sometimes appeared in unofficial promotional materials. Some veterans criticized this connection as misleading. They argued real military life was far from cinematic. Still, the influence was undeniable. The film's reach extended far beyond movie theaters. It shaped perceptions of military service for a generation. In this way, Rambo became more than a fictional character. He became a symbol, rightly or wrongly, of American military might. It's a rare case where Hollywood fiction touched real-world enlistment trends. Fact 20. Of all the film's explosive moments, Stallone has said the final rescue was his favorite. This is the sequence where Rambo frees the POWs from the camp. It combined emotional payoff with intense action. The scene was filmed over several exhausting days. Multiple cameras captured the chaos from different angles. The explosions were larger than in any other part of the movie. Stallone personally carried the actors playing POWs during takes. The sequence required perfect timing between stunt teams and pyrotechnics. Stallone said it represented the heart of Rambo's mission. It was about loyalty and refusing to leave anyone behind. For him, it was more than just spectacle. It had meaning. The scene tested every department on the film. From acting to effects, it was a massive team effort. Audiences still rank it among the most memorable moments in the series. It's the point where all of Rambo's grit and determination pay off. And for Stallone, it's the ultimate embodiment of the character's spirit.